All right, so just a little bit of a chat. I opened up my first dojo in 1997, but I was teaching well before that. When I got out of the Army, I came back to my hometown, Kokomo, Indiana. And I was out of the Army in September 9th, 1995 is when I mustered out. And November 23rd, I think, is the 23rd. November 23rd of that same year, I opened up my first dojo. And I went up to the business license. I got a business license to open up the dojo. Now, at the time, I did not realize I didn't need a business license to open up the dojo. The only reason you need a business license is if you are selling a physical product. I wasn't selling physical products. Knowledge and skill isn't considered a physical product, so I did not technically need a business license, but I didn't know that at the time, and luckily, because that business license saved my ass many years down the road. So even before I really had a name for my system, I had the dojo name, Zenshin Self-Defense Academy. That's what it was. Zenshin has multiple meanings, like everything else in Japanese, depending on how you write it out, depending on how you mean it, depends on what it is. The two main terms for Zenshin is the way of the entire body, and also virtuous heart. It also means virtuous heart. Now, when I was trying to figure out what I wanted to call the dojo, I came up with a lot of different names, and I could not decide on what I wanted to call the dojo. But when I found Zenshin, the entire body, it fit because I use my entire body. A Zenshin practitioner uses their entire body. And it also means virtuous heart. Now, I'm not saying I have one of those. I'm not even saying I have a heart. But if I do, I would like it to be a virtuous one, regardless. I thought that Zenshin was the perfect name for the dojo. And again, Self-Defense Academy. So Zenshin Self-Defense Academy. I established that the 23rd of November of 1995. And I got a business license, which proves it. There's absolutely no doubt, and you can't argue that. Now, at the time, I was still focusing mainly on the Filipino Kali, and I did not really have a name for what I was going to call my particular way of doing things, because I'm eclectic and I'm a gatherer. I'm an eclectic gatherer. I gather from here to here to here to here, and I put it all together, and it's something that works for me. I say that again. It's something that works for me. So I didn't really even have a name for the system technically, although the dojo was called Zenshin Self-Defense Academy, which it is still to this day called Zenshin Self-Defense Academy, and that won't ever change. Now, after I got out of the Army, like I said, I was still focusing mainly on the Filipino Kali. This was before my MMA days, before my Aikido. And so the Kali was really the focus of everything I was doing. So, and I couldn't really come up with something that I wanted to name it. And then I started with MMA, and I started fighting in cages and doing MMA stuff. And my nickname happened to be the Raptor. So I thought, well, Raptor Fighting Systems, that works. So technically, the very first term I used for my system, the way I do things, was Raptor Fighting Systems. And that stuck for many, many years. and I kept it that way. And then I retired from fighting. I got into Aikido, and Aikido started to be the forefront of basically everything I was doing. Everything else had parts and pieces mixed in, but Aikido happened to be at the time my main focus. And trying to call your system a fighting system and do Aikido at the same time is difficult to do. It doesn't really flow very well. Now, that's before Aikijitsu. Aikido is passive, non-aggressive, and that sort of thing. And you can't really say, well, you know, I'm with Raptor Fighting Systems, and we're doing a very passive, non-aggressive Aikido system. You know, the name of the system is Raptor Fighting Systems, but we're doing Aikido. It just didn't really fit and flow together very well. So it was around then that I decided that Zenshin would not just be the name of the dojo, but it would be the name of the system as well. So it became Zenshin Aikido because I was focusing on Aikido at the time. Now, once I felt pretty proficient, many years down the road, the Aikido started to flow more Aikijitsu. It became more mean, it became more practical, it became more useful, it became more Raptor Fighting Systems. So the Aikido became Aikijitsu. And I still have Zenshin Aikido, but I also have the overall system, which is I no longer refer to it as Raptor Fighting Systems all of the time. It still can be considered that. Pardon me. But it's now considered Zenshin Aikijitsu. Zenshin Aikijitsu covers all of it. The Aikido, the MMA, the Kali, the ninjutsu, all of it. Everything all over the place. So once I retired from fighting, the Raptor Fighting Systems kind of didn't feel right anymore. And that's when the Zenshin Aikijitsu came in. Now, jumping back a little bit, I ran Zenshin Self-Defense Academy from 1995. It's still going to this day, and it's 2023 right now, almost 2024. It's still going. I no longer have the business license. I don't need it. I don't sell product. I just teach. But it did save my ass. And here's the story about how it saved my ass. So back when I was training Aikido with the group that I was training with, most of the people there were a little unscrupulous to start out with. But one in particular person seemed to have a hankering to just constantly compete in everything against me in particular, but everybody, but me in particular. So when I was developing the Zenshin Self-Defense Academy, when I was developing its curriculum, I would take my manual with me wherever I went because I'd write stuff down all the time. Well, I had it at the dojo, and one of the people there, and his name was Steve Bledsoe. I'm going to say his name because that's his name. Can't argue that anyway. His name was Steve Bledsoe, and he had a very decent job that made decent money, and he was about the only one up there at class that really had money. So he was financing the instructor, and eventually felt because he was financing everything, he was in charge, and he kind of started taking over everything. And one day he saw my manual and he was flipping through it. I seen him, he's flipping through it, looking at it. And I walked up to him, I said, "Hey, what are you doing?" And he goes, "Oh, I'm just looking." I said, "Well, that's mine. You leave it alone." Well, Shortly after that, I left that dojo anyway. And then he changed the name to Zenshin, but he spelled it differently. He changed 2 letters. I don't remember what the 2 letters were, but he just switched a couple letters. I think he put a Q in there or some weird shit. I don't know what he did, but he called it Zenshin. And I said, oh, no. I said, no, you're not. I said, that isn't happening. So he said, okay, I won't do it. Well, I left it at that, and he lied to me. He still did it. A few years down the road, he got in trouble with the law, and he is no longer allowed to teach martial arts because of the issues he got in trouble with the law. He's definitely not allowed to teach kids. But someone else took over for him, and they were using all of his old stuff, which said Zenshin on it. And I happened upon their dojo one day and was in there chatting with them and saw it. And I'm like, no. And I said, listen, that's mine. I said, you can't do that. And, well, that's what he had. And I said, well, he stole it from me, and I'm not putting up with it. I said, I can legally prove I started this in 1995. If he can't prove that, which he couldn't because he stole it from me, if he can't prove he started that before that, then you need to get that shit off of all your paperwork. Well, he said he did. They did change the name of the school and everything to Bushido Academy or something like that. And I'm hoping that they don't still use that name, because it would irritate me, and I would be angered, and I would make it a legal issue. But I can prove without doubt that I started Zenshin Self-Defense Academy 23rd of November 1995. It's recorded, business license, it's recorded. So hopefully they're not still using it. They don't really do much. I think they're still around. They don't have an actual dojo. They're training in somebody's garage, if they're even training at all. So, and I think they stuck with the Bushido Academy thing or whatever. He still kept the academy part of the Zenshin Self-Defense Academy that I started. He still kept the academy part, but I can't really argue with that, because, I mean, I can't claim he can't use academy. I can say he can't use Zenshin as the name, because he stole that straight from me, and I ain't having that. So anyway, that's what saved my ass, was me having that business license back in '95, when later on I found out I didn't even really need it. But I did really need it, because that's what kept my dojo from being ripped off by somebody else.